Welcome back. On loose lines, Toby McKinnon, all the way from sunny Yarra Glen.
Yeah, Wandon, but you're 15 k's away, which for you to be within 15 k's of something's pretty good, Paul.
And Daniel Hibberd, not from Finley. Daniel, welcome.
Yes, in Marupna here, so yeah, it's good to be back.
How's your week been, boys? I don't care which one of you goes first. One of you can.
So
this is working well.
Well, when you're the host, Paul, you generally would lead into somebody else and ask them to sort of answer the question. That's what a host would normally do in that scenario, that's all. So,
Toby McKinnon, your week has been okay, has it?
It's been good, Paul. So had a few nights judging and went into SEN track and I delivered all my A stuff for SEN track, and I've got some good B stuff for tonight for you.
The one-liners. I like how you call them B stuff too. Might have a little bit of correspondence in a little while too, I believe, have we?
Yeah. Someone's taken the time to put a letter together and send it across to us, Paul, and let me tell you, it's I find it quite amusing. I'm not sure what you're gonna say. So
it'll be fine. We'll get to that. We will get to that in a minute. Daniel, your week, you've been calling here, there, and everywhere. You've had a few little more jobs come on the radar and the rest. How's the calling been, mate?
Yeah, calling's going well. We did a couple more greyhound races Saturday morning. The early matinee program at Shep, and jumped in there before heading off to play cricket. So it was good to get a bit of calling in. So 3 races there yesterday, building up to New Year's Eve at the Greyhounds at Shep, calling a full meeting there. But have been given another opportunity to do more calling with another group, which is great. And really looking forward to everything that's sort of happening over the next couple of months.
Just remember, I found you. Don't you listen to anyone else. Like Toby, he's just gone off to SEN and he just gives me B stuff. Don't you wipe me as well.
No, I won't do that. There's a few people here that have sort of found me and discovered me, but I'll just keep going and keep doing what I'm doing, and enjoying the moment. I
love his matinee word, Tobe. I think that sounds really, really good. He called a race the other day, Tobes. He had to go and throw a little one-liner in. Now, Tobes, I need you not to say anything because we've only got a 10-second grab of this race, but I think it's very funny. Are you going to say something first or not? No, I'm going to play the video. When I come back talking, Tobes, you can start talking then, okay?
And at the back was so very nice. Tay-Tay Swifty led. Back on the inside was Xander. Tay-Tay Swifty shaking them off. Tay-Tay Swifty hangs on to beat Xander, and third was Shining Ellie.
I told him one thing. Don't talk. What's he do? He has to talk. I hope everyone got the punchline because Tobes, they can't see. The boys can't actually see when I do play the videos or not. It's one of the small issues that we do have. And Tobes, I think you've hit it right in the middle, mate.
Beautiful. Play it again, Sam.
All right, I'll play it again now, Tobes. You be quiet for 10 seconds, please.
And at the back was so very nice. Tay-Tay Swifty led. Back on the inside was Xander. Tay-Tay Swifty shaking them off. Tay-Tay Swifty hangs on to beat Xander, and third was Shining Ellie.
So now, Daniel, do you practice those? Did you actually have that one half worded up ready for yourself?
Partly. I had it partly sitting. I think it's probably been used before, and some other horses that have been using, or horses or dogs that have got similar names, but I guess it was the obvious one that was there and just sort of blurted it out, so it all played out, and half the time those sort of things don't happen, but it just happened to work on yesterday, so a bit of fun there at the dog.
Tobes, have you ever come out with the classic one-liners? You would never have done it.
No, in all my trial calling days, Paul, I've never ever tried a little joke in there at all. So next time I call the trials, I might have a little play or try and get a pun in there.
There is Alex Ashwood's got a horse, Tay-Tay. It's just called Tay-Tay, I think, isn't it? I don't know. But anyway, it's similar name as well. So, that's all going on. Tobes, now, correspondence, mate. What have we got for us?
So So, Paul, I got a little letter in the on the email from a lady, and I sort of thought it'd be something well worth reading out for the listeners. So she wrote to me during the week. I got it, and if anyone wants to send me something, I'm happy to get it. So, dear Toby, I've been watching On Loose Lines each week, and I couldn't help but think of the Footy Show, with Paul Campbell being the Eddie Maguire / Gary Lyon host, Daniel as the sensible James Brayshaw, and you as the niggling Sam Newman. I then thought it would be great if you did a segment like Sam's mailbag, so hence I've penned this email. I've also attached 2 photos as lookalikes. I think you'll work out who they are. Regards, Sandy from Belmont. Now, I've sent these lookalikes through to you, Paul. You got to look at this.
You got to give me the heads up. I can only put one up at a time. I think it's the way I've done it. So I'll go with the gold man.
One of them's the guy from Star Trek. Get him up, and for the fans at home, have a look at this.
Are they taking the mickey out of you? They have to be with those eyebrows.
Paul, I think that might be you, mate.
I don't have eyebrows that big.
Have a look at the cranium. Have a look at the cranium on it. Oh, come on.
I do talk a little bit with my hands, but while I'm producing the show at the same time, my hands are pretty well kept too, so I'm pretty happy about that. So now, Tobes, well, what about the next bloke? Next bloke's a little bit infamous and famous. Who's he meant to look like? Don't tell me that is you.
Easy? That's got to be me, surely.
Wouldn't have thought so.
Dave Hughes?
Yeah.
Daniel's saying yes.
The guy that done the backflip for money. He's a vegan and everything else like that, but as soon as the VRC offer him some coin to go and do the races live, yep, no worries at all. I'll jump at that. There's not a hassle there at all. So, yeah, he has very...
At least he's not commanding a Star Trek Enterprise like you are, Paul.
No, but that's all make-believe. Tobes, you'll actually find this funny, but I've actually got my own bit of correspondence as well that's come through. And the beauty of this show is you're not going to be able to see you won't be able to see this until 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. But it's Sam from Blacktown. He actually, I don't know how he got word that there was going to be some correspondence going on, but yeah. Young Sam from Blacktown, and I think this is a much bigger liking to you, Tobes. I'm pretty impressed with this. What's the guy from? I can't. Is it American Pie? Is that what he's off? I think that's what he's off, isn't it? The guy.
It's Sam from Blacktown. I think that might be Stephen from Horsham. Is it?
No. Sam, it's definitely.
It might be Black. Black might be his name.
Definitely,
this reeks of Steve Blacker.
Definitely Sam from Blacktown. He sent it to me. He said he thought, maybe I need this one for the show. And I think he's right. I think your Dave Hughes one might be a little bit ambitious, but I forget the guy's name. But don't worry, Daniel, you're not safe either, mate. So you just sit there with a grin on your face for the time being. But who knows for how long?
Yeah, I'll be waiting for an email or a letter or a photo of someone about me, but I'm in the clear for the moment.
Don't worry, Sam.
If anyone wants to send anything to me, timberfence@gmail.com. Happy to get all your letters penned in. timberfence@gmail.com. Send them in. Give us your lookalikes. It'd be good to get like Paul getting carried off on the stretcher or something like mine was, and just keep replaying it every week.
The beauty is I'm the producer as well, so that won't be happening, Tobes. You know that. Christmas winner. I'm going to give this one straight up because
you're guilty.
Daniel, we only had we only had one person send their picture in, and I can't find my picture now on my run sheet. Where is? Oh, there it is. There, and it is.
That was me.
It's a young man from Queensland, Finn Clayton. Finn is 10 years old. He is the son of Darren Clayton from Queensland. A lot of us will know him through social media and everything that he does up there in Queensland. But young Finn and his grandmother, his grandmother actually decked out the stables. They've got Santa in a sulky up there. They've got boxes for Cupid, Comet and Rudolph. They've got all the reindeers, got spots for lights lit up everywhere. And I really appreciate that they've taken the 5 minutes to put that together and send me a photo. So for you guys, I was going to give you the choice of one hat. I've got to try and work out where my camera is. There it is there. Grandma, you've got the pink one. Finn, you've got the blue and red version of the Barrostock hats. They're ripping hats. Thank you very much to Barrostock. Darren, one stubby holder. Compliments of Woodlands coming your way, and I really appreciate it because I was dreading having to give that to Toby McKinnon, I must say.
What a raging success, Paul. What a raging success over 2 weeks, getting the one entry.
At least, Tobes, at least we have one listener. We're going okay. Thank you, young Finn. You're a 10-year-old. Well done, mate. And Dad's trying to get him keen on the trots, mate. We'll get you keen on the trots. Don't worry about that. You enter every competition. You'll just keep winning at the minute. It'll be fine. That's it. That's about it. So we might have a competition afterwards for the new year and the likes going forwards. Notables, boys. We run through some notable achievements during the week. We started off with a couple. We look like we're not going to get any. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of achievements happen each week. They do a great job, these participants, going forward. I just got to try and find that spot where we are. Tobes, the first one up was David Murphy getting a double at Geelong, but it's really a family affair, isn't it?
It is, Paul. I think David might be a little bit reinvigorated in harness racing at the moment with the boys coming through, with Brent coming through, and Declan's not far away either. And Geelong Tuesday night, I had to catch up with him about an interview we were doing with Brian Tuddenham as well. So I caught up with him, and he was just full of buzz. He got a winner with Attigo Shades. It went huge. Was 3 wide, did a lot of work early and still kept running and won. And then Isabella Princess in the last with his son Brent driving it. David's horse galloped out. It was in the market as well, and great to see one of the great guys of our sport, David Murphy, who's trained over 1,000 winners, getting a double on Tuesday night. And that point I touched on with Brian Tuddenham, and it was down on the run sheet later in the show, but I'll cover it off now. He's been pretty crook, Brian. He's battling away with Jack the Dancer, and also he's had a bit of heart surgery last Friday, and Murph's taken care of a horse for him called Buzz Like a Bee. Brian thinks it's got a bit of potential, actually, and he's trained a few good horses like Sting Like a Bee, and he's a buzzing. So bit of a well-wish out to Brian as well while we're at it.
Absolutely. We don't wish anyone, especially this time of year, we want everyone fit and healthy. It's a bad time of the year to be unwell. Kilmore, Wednesday night must have been Kilmore, and Brad Chisholm got a double there, Daniel.
Yeah, it was a good double too. When you go back and have a look at the two horses that won, Queen of Love was a good win for Brent Lilly there. Had 3 wins this season, so it's been going really well. And the second one was obviously the bolter of the double, Sunrise Master, getting up at about 60-1. It's the first win this year, first win since April 2019. So it's been a long time between drinks for it, but a great effort there by Brad to get a double, and he's going well. Gets plenty of drives with obviously with the stable, Brent Lilly stable, but he's freelancing a little bit, which is great, and he's getting plenty of winners across the season.
Aussie missed a double because, Aussie had that bad fall the same day as young Ryan Sanderson, I think it wasn't it, Tobes, at Charlton? And he's been out for a while, but Queen of Love is actually Aussie's horse, and I'm sure Aussie got a great kick out of watching that one get over the line. So if Aussie's watching, get well soon as well. We're throwing out a few get well soons, which we don't really want to be doing, but hopefully he's back on track as well. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever. Tobes, the next one has got me intrigued because I've never heard of either of these two gentlemen. They ended up with a double on the day, but they actually sent 3 horses around for almost a treble in Graeme and Brent Howard.
Yeah, Graeme and Brent from Mount Gambier, Paul. They do a pretty good job with their horses, and Burning Hots, I'm just going off the top of my head, had 12 starts, 4 wins, something like that. And Auckland Miss also won. She's in a similar boat, 13, 14 starts for 4 wins as well. So, and they don't race for big prize money at the Mount, but they've both of these horses won about $15,000 already, and their classes are still low. So there's plenty of potential and future there for Graeme and Brent Howard, a couple of gentlemen from from Mount Gambier. So burning hot in Auckland, missed getting a double at Hamilton. Great to see.
I might throw you under the bus. You may not know, but do they train a lot of horses, mate, or would they have a big team of horses?
I reckon they do 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But and do a bit of freelance driving as well. Like if a Beck Easter's got 2 in at Mount Gambier and, you know, it's a Saturday night or whatever and Mick Bellman's not there and, you know, she's a bit shy on drivers, she will go to Brent, and Brent's driven for her a lot. I reckon he's driven for Matty Craven as well in a similar circumstance where Matty's had a couple of horses in. So, yeah, he's well trusted with some of the better trainers, like a bit like a John Cowdo here. You know, when you've got 3 in a race, who do you go to? It's always John Cowdo. It's always that guy, you know. And he's a bit like that guy from the Mount, if you know what I mean.
We might try and get out and about a little bit more after the new year and try and catch up with some of these people, get a 5-minute interview so people can put a face to them, I suppose, which will make it even better. But I think what we do, at least we're getting it out there a little bit for them.
I do plan on coming out in the new year, Paul, so that'll be good.
Does Claire know this? Katacha, man. Now this is a ripper one, Daniel. This is how tough a harness racing horse is. Wouldn't have got a lot of sleep. Wins at Echuca and Warragul, people might say, so what? But one at Echuca, what was that, Thursday night, and Warragul Friday morning.
Yeah, like the race at Echuca would have been about 9:30 at night, something like that. So it probably wouldn't have got home till potentially midnight by the time they got back to the stables. And then it's in the 3 o'clock race at Warragul the next day. I mean, it was, and they would have had to have left it, very early to get down the freeway and the highway everywhere to Melbourne. But its performance at Echuca was great. I mean, it sat without cover and had to do it fairly tough, but didn't get it easy. And then to back it up with another win after that run, only less like 18 hours earlier, quite remarkable. And that's just the breed. I mean, we all marvel at the standardbred horse and how tough they are and how resilient they can be, and that just goes to show what they're like. And the horse is obviously pretty resilient, pretty sound. Because you wouldn't back it up if it hadn't been well the next morning. But obviously it was fine, and great to see the 2 days, 2 wins.
Probably gone to the paddock too now. We've been a young horse and go away for the next season and the likes. Daniel, I'm going to stick with you while we're going. Alan Tormey, 5 wins at Mildura. She only had 6 drives, and the next one, which I'm going to cover off on Toby, just marvel at the strike rates sometimes of our reins people and what a great job they do. I know Alan had a few favourites at Mildura. When they're favourite, you've got to win on them. People can say it's easy to win on favourites, but you've got to win on them. And she only had the 6 drives for 5 wins. It's a very, very good effort. Yeah,
I don't think she would have had better tonight in the carts than that one. She might have driven a treble or may have driven 4 before, but certainly not 5. And it was for different stables. I mean, she had 2 for Julie Douglas, 1 for Frank Cavallaro, and 1 for Kate Hargraves, Scott Garraway. So it was all shared around. It wasn't as if it was one team that was providing all the horses. She stopped on a different horse, pretty much every time. Each differently trained horse every time. So it was a great effort. She does a lot of work, a lot of hard work, and good to see 5 wins on one night, a great achievement.
We'll say we try to catch up with everyone with the notables and the likes, and sometimes we probably get a little bit blasé about them. You said there before about Kate Hargraves and Alex Ashwood. I mean, they're in Kate's name, but they've trained to win just about at every meeting. I know that you just seem to keep scrolling through. They got another one at Melton last night. You just seem to keep scrolling through and you see their names. They're just racing horses everywhere. They're going terrific as well, so well done to those. Tobes, I alluded to just before with Greg Sugar's 6 races, drove 4 winners, but he actually only drove in 5 of those races. It's a mighty feat as well, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 out of 5, Paul. That's 80% for those playing at home, where Alan Tormey's 5 out of 6 would be about 83.33% for those playing at home, but you would have known that.
Who's the nerd?
Race 1, I thought it was quite notable, the first race in particular, Paul, at Warragul, where Greg got the 4 winners. Treacherous Rock, which is probably a horse probably named after me. I can be a bit treacherous with these sort of shows. Beat a horse called Captain Dan, which is obviously Dan upstairs there, and Captain Maastricht, which would be no doubt you, because you're trying to keep us on a loose rein, but you ran third in that race. So Treacherous Rock won. Cabello again for Mick Hughes. And talk about different trainers, one for Jess, or one of his own, with Jess, and then one for Mick Hughes, one for Steve Austin, the $5 million man. There's one of your little lines that you're talking about. I used to throw into the trials. And then in the last, La Putty, who won the Terrelgan Pacing Cup in quite great fashion. And Greg was very happy. It was a great race to the finish. Junior Brown and Didn't I were only a short half head away, each of them. The photo was looked at, but the judge did get it right, Paul.
There is a first time for everything, Tobes, that's for sure. The one thing I will say, he drove two favourites on the day, but only one of those was odds on, and from memory it was $1.95. It wasn't well into odds on, and the other favourite was about a $2.70 favourite. So it wasn't like he had a great book of drives, but he was able to salute as well. So which is well done to him, I must say. Another young man.
$1.90, $3.40, $4.50, and $11.90. Treacherous Rock was when I got home over the top there. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. When you got home over the top, give us a break. Daniel, another young man. We say about Kate Hargraves and that before, but he's doing a terrific job. He's really found a bit of a niche since he's come to Central Victoria, actually, both you gentlemen. In Jackie Law, he's driving up a storm, making a bit of a name for himself in Mildura, but more importantly, driving plenty of winners at Melton.
Yeah, double there last night on two horses that, have probably had histories of, one of them, obviously, Van Murray's been in the future stable, gone up to Sydney and come back to Kate's stable there, and has went 153 last night, was fantastic. And the other one, Better to Be the Bomb, sort of, I think was in the bit of the wilderness for a while. They couldn't really or wasn't winning too many races, or wasn't really performing at a good level, but it just seemed to hit the switch, and it's just the light's gone on, and it's worked out that it's a pretty good horse, and it did it really tough last night, and it's going really well for Basil and Paula, and Jack's just driving up a storm at the moment, so it's great to see, and it just goes to show that those younger people in the sport, if they're given an opportunity, they can certainly shine, and that's a lot of the time, as I can attest to. All you need is an opportunity at some times, and when you get it, you just make the most of it.
One thing Jack's had too is a little bit of support from a few people from left of field as well, that maybe not giving him drives, but just giving him a bit of moral support, and I think it's really starting to show on the way he is actually driving, which is key. Yes, Tobes?
Yeah, just on him, his father's come over, and Jack's been pushing to get his family over here. Sister's a pretty good netballer, apparently. On Trots Vision, they were talking about it a bit last night as well. So he's just trying to get his dad over here as well and get a bit more family support around him. And I think if he can get that little bit of an extra kick along, he'll really bite his teeth into this industry.
Absolutely. No, he's doing a good job. Grant and Karen, they quite often would keep their horses over there with Jack's father, and Grant, he reckons he was a ripping bloke, always looked after them. They could send them over there and never even had to worry about them. Just go over there and they'd win over there when they were taking them over there. So good family, that's for sure.
Someone had a blue with him once, Paul. They fought the law, and the law won, though.
I knew it was coming.
That is B-grade material. That is B-grade material.
He wouldn't use that on SEN. They'd throw him out the door before he finished it. So at least he could have given me the heads up, and I would have had the bloody song ready for him, so it would have been fine. It's interesting we talk about Van Mara, Tobes. Kate and Andy Gaff training a double. Who cares? They train doubles all the time, but all trotting double, back to what we quite regularly say, and they're doing an awesome job with their trotters, Kate and Andy, aren't they?
Yeah, races 9 and 10, the last two races last night, Paul, and we were talking a few weeks ago about how Chris Alford was 10 wins behind Kate Gaff, and he'd got a few winners on the night, and all of a sudden it looked like the door had come open a little bit. There was a great interview with Peter Thompson on Trots Vision, and he'd given the drive to Chris Alford and said, I don't care, I want the best driver. Yep. I don't care if my daughter doesn't win the driver's premiership, I want the best driver. Anyway, Monaro Maro and McLovin probably nearly sealed that premiership for her, and it was a great win by Monaro Maro. And Scotty Ewen, his horse Troubled Gyro, went terrific, ran second. He got a couple of seconds at Geelong earlier in the week, and Bulletproof Boy ran fourth earlier in the night. He was all a buzz, Scotty Ewing. And then McLovin with a really strong performance. McLovin all the way to the line to beat Dance Craze. And that race last night, I'm not sure why, the RC Freestone Trotters Cup was on at 11:02 with it feels like 2:30 a.m. in the morning. So it was a bit sad. It was tucked away that far back for such a great race.
Absolutely, and some ripping horses in there as well. Like, I mean, the Dance Craze, the second mare, she's a champion. They don't deserve to be on at that hour. That's mine and your opinion. Tobes, you're a big man on stats. This one was brought to me today by Graeme Johansson. He actually rang me and we were just talking while I was getting this show compiled. And Kate and Andy Gaff, can you name the last time they had a pacing double? We accept that they have trotting doubles quite regularly, but do you know what I mean? Like, they don't. They're noted as a dual stable, but their trotters are really coming to the fore, aren't they?
Oh, but well, you mentioned Van Mara and horses like that. They would have had a pacing double this year. There.
Oh, they would have, but they would have had. Yeah. They would have had more trotting doubles, if you know what I mean. Like, so, and when we talk about great trotting stables, I think, you know, we probably sometimes forget them. I think they've probably got the strongest stable in the state right at the minute of trotters, the way they're going.
If we're talking about doubles, though, Paul, we need to get that picture of Jean-Luc Pierre, that, you know, of you, that bald guy back up from Star Trek.
There's no double there, mate. I've got to put a Barristock hat on him. Don't you worry about that. Daniel, your Barristock hat is in the mail. Not sure about me mate, so I don't know where it's going. I don't even know why I call him me mate, actually. I've got to rejig that. We're going to go slightly off track in a minute. One thing I do have to do, boys, I am actually working...
We've been on track.
We're on loose lines. Don't you worry about that. Johnny Campbell, I am... doing the Central Victorian Championships, and he's asked me to make sure that people are aware. So Sunday the 3rd of January is the Central Victorian Championships time-honoured race series. Unfortunately not back to the heats and finals, but we'll go there, and it's not back to a standing start either. The trotters are $25,000 heats and finals. They're proudly major sponsors of the Victorian Harness Racing Club, and also, I can't find them there on my little sheet as I'm looking for it. I'm going to be in trouble. No, I haven't got it. There's another major sponsor there as well. But make sure, if you're going to go, so they can take up to 1,000 people, which will well and truly cover off board. But if you don't book, you can't get in. So it's the 3rd of January, which is effectively a bit over 2 weeks away. No, it won't be. It was only a fortnight away today. And you must book. You must book to get in there with the COVID. And it's an ever-changing fee stat. So ring the club. Get onto the Bort Trotting Club to make sure you can book to get in there. I've got a few meetings coming up as well, so I'll be keeping up with all those things going ahead. Yes, Tobes?
Must have bought tickets.
If you're looking for somewhere to stay after that pun that he nearly dropped about 20 fairies out of the sky by pointing for that long, the Northern Oasis, stay at the caravan park there. Wendy will well and truly look after you. Warwick Kappa's more than likely to be there as well. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I got to spend a bit of quality time with Warwick Kappa, if you can call it that. That was the greatest windfall, Tobes. You know, you can have a random windfall sometimes and you're not sure what will happen. A galah flew into a transmitter at the Bort Caravan Park, so there was no air conditioning, no nothing, so everyone come across to the trotting track, and it was just a ripping atmosphere. I was spilling out of everywhere, so a ripping day, all due to one feral galah flying into a transmitter.
Johnny Campbell probably talked the galah into doing it.
There's a fair chance the galah did see that one coming to you. You're spot on, Tobes. He is no relation, but yeah, it's okay. I'm happy to call him your uncle.
He would have pulled out his little book. He would have pulled out his little book and started going through his list of things he wanted to talk to the galah about, and the guy would have given up on life, I reckon.
Daniel, have you ever seen the book being produced?
Sorry?
Have you ever seen the book produced out of John when you're talking to John?
No, I haven't. No, I must say I haven't. But I'm pretty sure my old man probably would have at one point or another.
I can guarantee you when you see the book come out of his pocket, you're going to laugh. You're going to say, these two Muppets, now I know what they're on about. So it's scary when that book comes out because there's a lot of notes in there, isn't there, Tobes?
Oh, there is. But we say it in jest, but he's a great man that's dedicated his life to the sport, Paul. So there's nothing better than getting behind people like him in our industry.
No, absolutely. It'll be a lot of fun. I've got Wedderburn, I think Wedderburn Cup at the end of the month as well, and I've got a few other meetings coming up. So I'm actually doing, I would have been halfway through Trots Vision today, actually, so because this is coming out at 4:30 this afternoon. So, yeah, would be halfway through Trots Vision at Maryborough, so which was a ripping meeting. Actually, on that, must say well done to Yabby Dam Farms. 17, I think, runners they've got tomorrow bred at, or today, we'll say when this comes out, at Maryborough, which is pretty huge, isn't it, on the Vic Bred Super Series Day, sponsored by Aldebaran Park.
Yeah, I think, Paul, they'd rather 17 at the one meeting than have 2 at 8 meetings in a row.
Back onto that, though, Tobes, onto your All Trotters meeting. This one's just there. I mean, no one's even mentioned it. It's an All Trotters meeting. The last race, I don't know why it's on the card, but it's there. But, yeah, it's 11 races and they're all Trotters, so well done to everyone involved. Good racing, good young horses going around. Rightio. So we generally go with our topics and we can go a little bit tough and a little bit random, and Toby generally gets a bit D&M and everything else like that. My thoughts are we're 5 days out from Christmas, so I thought we might just go back over the year and just come up just with your maybe your Christmas highlights or something from the year that you've had witnessed or enjoyed for the night. I'm more than happy to go first if you gentlemen like, because I have put a little bit of thought into it, all of about 5 minutes. But if you like, you're both happy for me to go first, that's fine. The highlight for me was...
You're the host.
You're the producer. You can do whatever you like.
The highlight for me was B. Little going 151.9, setting a track record. I can tell you a lot of people say that Bendigo's the fastest track or whatever, but how proud we were as a family to have bred a horse that can run that sort of time around a track. I know people can say Bendigo's fast, whatever. We were chuffed, and it was definitely one of the great highlights I had for the year for that. And then also, on that same vein, a couple of weeks later, like that was in February, I went and looked at the date. It was just prior to COVID lockdown, which seems a long, long time ago. Just after that, Gobsmacked equalled that track record. At one stage, he'd broken it, but thankfully the judges had the round up instead of rounding down. So God bless the judges, Tobes. I don't know if you were working that night, so we had an equal, and then it got broken.
Timekeeper.
A different person. Then we had it got beaten by Aiken's horses. But one of the other highlights I had was being there that night with Ride High, albeit a cold winter's night, but to see him go 149 flat and experience something that I know not a lot of people, other than the people who were there that night, how quiet the entire track went watching this horse just blow the track to bits. It was just, it was definitely my highlight for the 2020 season, I think, just to be able to witness that. I know, Daniel, you and I were there the night he won at Shepparton, and Kima didn't let him loose only for a 26 last quarter, I think, that night, and you were blown away by that. But, Bendigo was something special, I think. So, yeah, they're my couple of highlights, boys. Daniel, what were yours, mate?
Yeah, well, obviously it's been a tough year for a lot of people, but I think I've certainly been very lucky with what opportunities I've had this year. And I think the real highlight, obviously, from an industry perspective, was the fact that we were able to keep going for the whole year with everything that was going on around us. I think the entire industry needs to be really proud of that achievement. It wasn't something that was ever going to be easy. And there was always going to be decisions that were made that were out of participants' hands, and there would have been some sleepless nights there, I'm sure, by a lot of people of how they were going to be able to survive and how their businesses were going to continue. But it was just fantastic to see that we got through it. We've got to the other side of it, and whilst we might have lost a lot of those feature races in that COVID period, I think we've come out the other side with some different direction on where the industry is going in terms of race, the calendar, and when feature races are and things like that. So I guess it could be a bit of a hidden blessing, but I think the industry should be really proud of what they've done over the last 12 months, the last 7 or 8 months. From a racing perspective, certainly the 2 nights there at Shepparton when I got to see Ride High and Lochinvar 8 both go round. And that was, both incredible nights, but unfortunately there's obviously no people on track. And certainly from a racing perspective, the best run was Lochinvar up in the Victoria Cup. I thought it was a brilliant performance. I thought it was a brilliant drive by David to win that race. I think we all knew how good he was, and I think he really made a stamp on that race and on the racing in the country, the whole of the country, just to highlight how good he is. And obviously Hurricane Harley's been a bit of a thorn in the side in a couple of races, but I still think Lochinvar is one of the best horses in the country at the moment, and it was great to see him win that big race.
Very good. Toby McKinnon, this could be very random or very serious coming from you.
Well, Daniel covered off on a couple of the main ones. The just how the participants have been over the COVID period, and just a strangeness at the race meetings during that period. A real odd sort of happiness to be there. Just glad to be still racing, and a lot of the BS that goes around in the world was just far from everyone's mind. There's a great example of that. Zach Phillips and Olivia Wiedenbach outside the steward's room, and Zach was explaining to Olivia how she has to go in and defend herself. I got back upstairs and thinking to myself, hang on a sec, they're protesting against each other. But what my point there is that Zach Phillips he's a senior driver now, and he was looking after a junior concession driver and talking to her about just about how they were talking about the rate that horses run at the front of it during the race. It was nothing major, but just seeing how that camaraderie, and I think it was a great example of how the whole year was between all the participants. The Gamelite Cup at Terang, Paul, was a massive highlight for me. For the only club to put on an extra $10,000 prize money to get a race up to 30 during the whole COVID period, it was really around getting a right high and Lochinvar clash. We know I've said many times Lochinvar didn't come, but that was no fault of anybody's. David just didn't come. But for the club to get an extra $10,000 in sponsorship and to the club, and then to have the virtual ticket that they ran with 200 people coming to the course virtually, and some of those things they did, and then the local media support behind it with radio and paper was amazing. And finally, I think NU running second at $150.
Lord help us if it had a one, really. Lord help us if it had a one.
It may have been seen at Bendigo Trials today. It might have ran second at the Trials. I'm not sure whether I should allude to who may have beaten at home, but I saw the great Wes Shelley at Bendigo Trials. Saw her there. Lucinda's back, and she trialled very, very good. And we might have held the little pocket rocket. Andrew, Andrew was a beast. Not Andrew. Lucinda's a beast. She's a big mare, and she's a big, heavy mare. And poor little Andrew looks tiny next to her, I must say. So yeah.
How are you going to be when you put in a race and Dell's Destiny beats Lucinda Mack? After all these years of chasing Norquay, and then all of a sudden you're chasing Dell's Destiny.
Well, I will say, Tobes, if I'm lucky enough to get in a race with Dell's Destiny, I'll be stoked, because I think, unfortunately, we can only race in metro races in Melbourne on the class we're at the minute. So, that's one of the downsides to having a mare that's on a good mark. You have to race where you can. On that, she did trial very, very good. I think we went 2 minutes. I think our last, we mile rated, 158 actually, 57 last half. So we're going to cross off onto Daniel in a second with the Barrostock trials. But yeah, she did trial very, very good today. Lucinda did, and we had a winner last week. I don't tip our horses very often, but fingers crossed if we can keep her attitude in the right vein that she's in at the minute. Lucinda, we're very happy. But another good little story, boys, that I try to say, we had Son of a Trump. And anyone that follows me on Campbell's comments and the equestrian page will know that his name is M2. 2 years off the track. My daughter's been show jumping him. He's going to start competing in show jumps, but he actually made it back to the racetrack today and was far from disgraced. It was only a 3-horse trial, and I think he only finished about a length behind us as well, getting back. So fingers crossed we can have a bit of a good news story that he may compete in some shows, and then also be able to feature on a racetrack, which is something we've been trying to achieve. And we got him back to the trials. Fingers crossed we can get him back to the races, but it was pretty exciting. And I'll tell you the best part, And how excited my 14-year-old daughter was to get him back just to a trial track was pretty good. I think we forget sometimes of why we all love harness racing, and yeah, you watch your daughter and the thrill she gets out of it, that makes a big difference.
Did you drive one of them, Paul?
Lucinda.
Fair dinkum. It beat and you were driving it.
Wes was on the other one though. Fair dinkum.
She'll go around $1.10 in anything.
Anyone, it gets said a little bit. This is not all about us or anything like that. Lucinda is a touch quirky, to say the least, and hence the reason I drove her, because we weren't sure what we were going to get today. She can kick you out of the cart. She can do quite a few odd things, but she was in a very, very good mood today. So hopefully we can keep her in that vein. Tobes?
Nothing wrong with a touch quirky, Paul.
No, I'm sure everyone knows a fiery redhead, and we've definitely got one there in our lovely mare, I must say. While we're on the trials, sorry, Tobes.
Don't know how Mick Bellman got dragged into it all of a sudden.
I was actually more thinking of Tara Youngson with the fiery redheaded comment. Well, she is by Danny Boucher. She's by Danny, so Tara won't mind at all, so it's all good.
Anyway, it's been nice knowing you, Paul. It's been a pleasure working with you over the years, and yeah, it's been great, mate.
Tara will be fine, don't you worry about that. Daniel, Barristock trial form. I noticed, I was just looking at the trial form, and Craig Rail's just wrapping the horse that's in tonight, that's name's just left me. Starts with S, and I can't think of it. It just totally left me head. Spencer. Yeah, he's saying I found it first. He clearly doesn't watch On Loose Lines, does he?
No, clearly not. And he's just taking all the cream here, but it does go around Sunday night, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes after that race. Some interest, Yorkshire, who we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, obviously won the Rothica Championship last night. So I hope the viewers stuck fat there and got some of the $9 that was available. Just before
you go, just before you do go, Daniel, too, it was interesting that Chris Elford said last night before he drove it that he didn't think it quite switched on. You know, chasing home a horse like San Carlo sometimes can give you that little false bit of security. I think they put a set of block winkers on him last night, and he really savaged the line, which made the difference. So it was interesting, that part, I must say, on that. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I did hear that, and that was they went 153 in the heat, so they've gone similar time in the final. So it was obviously just that little change that made a bit of the difference there. But the trial winner from the trials at Shep is Free Summers for Russell Jack. Just given a couple of nice quiet trials, and then last week they fired out of the gate. And when they tend to do that, they sort of mean business, and that's not meaning that they're not far away from going to the races. This is a nice horse. I think he's on a pretty tough mark though, so that will make it a little bit interesting. But he goes all right. I think he won a nice race as a 2-year-old, so he's got plenty of ability. And his run on the trials the other night was really strong. It was only a 4-horse trial, I think, from memory, but it would pay to actually follow probably all 4 out of that trial. They went a nice last half, but he was impressive out in front. And as I say, he's going to be competitive when he steps out of the races based on that run. Yes, so.
He only had 2 starts last preparation in about April or May or whenever it was. So obviously there's been a little niggle or something wrong there over the period.
Yeah. So, but the couple of runs he's had, like last week, he looked great. The one before that, he was just a bit quieter. They just drove him a little. They didn't really let him zip home. They just let him run to the line. He was sort of in between horses at the finish. So, obviously they'd have to be pretty happy with him, and he's going to be competitive in whatever he goes in. And it's just another one that trialled there on Thursday and actually went around this morning at Cobram with both. Did the trials up there this morning. One for John Newbury, a horse called Diamond Eclipse, only a 2-year-old. Won the trial at Shepparton on Thursday. Didn't qualify though. Wasn't up on the gate at the start, but was still too good. And then came out this morning and did everything right and went really nice time over the 2100. So I think John might have a nice one. I see he's sold a couple of his older stocks, so I think he might have been making room for this one. He might have a bit of an opinion of it. So he's coming off a double at Kilmore during the week, so the stable's obviously going well, and I think they might have found another nice one too.
How can I look after the sponsors when you fire that in on me? Diamond Eclipse. I could have had it up on the sponsors board. Nothing. Look at him, Tobes. He's just sitting there giggling at himself. He's just like, oh, well, I got to keep
something. Only happened this morning. Anyway. But, it was
on the Google Sheet.
Up a copy.
It was on the Google Sheet, Paul.
Tobes,
I typed it in. I said, didn't you get it? Didn't you get the message?
So you got a nervous twitch there around your cheek, Toby McKinnon. I don't know what that's all about either, mate. So you yeah. Now, Woodlands winner. We didn't have one last week. We failed to mention that Katacha Man is by Bettor's Delight as well too. Daniel, we forgot that one as well. Tobes, I hate to tell you, Tobes, you can lift it up as high as you like. It won't get into your picture shot, mate. It needs to come up where your nose is. So, yep, don't stress. God, the troubles I have with this bloke. Woodlands winner, Toby McKinnon. What have we got for us this week, mate?
On the Prairie, Paul. So, a horse called Prairie. It's been running around up at Wagga by American Ideal, who's probably sold out. So, it's probably imperative that we pump up a stallion that's sold out. But it's had 7 starts in Australia since it's come over from New Zealand, just for the 5 wins, if you don't mind. 7 starts, 5 wins, a second and a third. And it looks like the sort of horse that we might see it at a Shepparton or somewhere in the coming months for Maguire and Carlefelt. So it goes pretty nicely, I think.
They're not scared to travel them. I think American Ideal is booked out, Tobes, you're right. I think those shuttle stallions aren't far off leaving, actually. So hopefully next year we will actually be showcasing some of the yearlings coming up into the New Zealand bloodstock sale that's happening in the new year. We've got lots planned. That's sort of it for our run sheet, I must say. I'm just making sure that I haven't crossed off on or missed crossing off on anything else. Tobes, have you got anything else to add? You said there before about Tuddy. We had that down at the bottom, but Brian Tudham, we want him to get well. But did you have anything else?
No, only the hard-hitting discussion points, Paul, which I prepared one during the week, and then you canned that, and then I came up with another one. We wanted something a bit more light-hearted, and it was why Continental Soup's the best soup brand, and then you changed it to...
it's not the best.
You've changed it on me again to your highlights of the year.
Continental Soup does not hold a candle to Campbell Soup. You know that. You wouldn't have an email address with veggie if it didn't. Okay, that's where the email name comes from. So you just leave me alone, all right? All compliments of. It's interesting you mentioned Gary Lyon before. Tracy Lyon actually called me veggie. That's where it all came from. So yeah, which is Gary's sister. So yeah, it's a school name. So yeah, goes back that far.
She's a good judge, very good judge. She should work with me.
At least there'd be one good judge, wouldn't it? Daniel, have you got anything else for our show, mate?
No, just really looking forward to the semi-final, the heats of the trotters for the Vic Bred Mondays. Obviously, after the show goes to air, the semi-finals for the Pacers on Tuesday night at Melton. It's a great card, and we just really hope that all the live chances get through to the final. It's always the hard step, that semi-final. It's a bit like prelim final in the AFL. It's sort of that one, the race you got to perform. You got to perform in, otherwise you don't get to the big dance. So I just hope all the good ones get through, and then obviously we've got the 4-year-olds trotted to Chef on Wednesday. So big week of Vic Bred, and then all leads to New Year's Eve and those finals. This will be a great night to end the year.
Absolutely. They're going to be on. There's a full Sky 2 coverage for the semi-finals tomorrow night. Now, I'm not sure if there's a 7-mate coverage. I got a bit confused. There is an hour and a half. Is there? Jason Bonington and Keema Frenning are going to be on 7-mate on Tuesday night as well for an hour and a half. So, which will be a very condensed version because, unfortunately for them, it's every race you look at is a ripping race. So it's going to be a bit hard where they actually slot that in. But I suppose I'll do a recap and a look forward as well to what races are going on. And then the New Year's Eve night will be on 7-mate as well as a full Sky coverage as well. I've seen a few people skiting about how big it's going to be, which is just sensational. It's a bit like Darren Clayton when he's with his young bloke. I just said to him, well done for what he does and the likes, and give him a bit of a shout out. But there's so much getting out there now with harness racing. It's terrific, isn't it? Neither of you.
It's unbelievable what can be done. Yeah, it's unbelievable what can be done. Obviously, I think COVID's really highlighted, how good things can be when you have to make changes that, you might have, might be stuck in your ways with how things have run in the past, and, this is just the way things are always done. But when everything changes with COVID, it's, you've got more digital stuff is needed or has been needed, and it's just been, we've really not flooded it, but we've made sure that there's enough of the trotting industry out there to suit all the different participants. It's, it's not just all the racing; it's the breeding, it's the whole shebang. So it's been really good, and to get free to air coverage for Vic Breds like that's next level. I mean, it's good. It was great to have Inter Dominion coverage, but now that you're getting into our major futurity races, that's really important and really good.
It is indeed. And we better not forget SEN, Daniel, or we'll be in trouble there as well, the coverage that they'll be having. I'm not sure, Tobes, are you working Tuesday night?
No, just Wednesday's ball at 11 o'clock on SEN track for Trots Live.
11 p.m. That's a pretty rough time to be putting you on, mate.
11 a.m. Yeah. Sorry.
I was just checking. You only said the 11.
They might do a Paul Campbell on me and take 12 hours to get it there.
They may too. Don't you worry about that. I noticed I've only ever been in the studio once, so obviously my days are over for the SEN. You obviously failed to give Jason that message because he wouldn't be ignoring me, would he?
No, I'd go back and listen last week. I said quite clearly that when he saw you ringing, he changed his phone number. And we're doing a show next week or what?
Possibly. We're not sure. We will leave it completely in the open. I know Boxing Night, we pre-record this on the Sunday. It won't be happening on the Sunday. I've got no worries there. I am going to sail greyhounds actually on the Saturday night, so doing a live stream there with Troy Harley and the GRV crew, so I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also not looking forward to getting home to about 4 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I don't know if we'll be getting a Sunday night job, but we might be able to get Monday morning, depending on what you two fine gentlemen have done. We might be able to organise something. We'll just see. Otherwise, we'll be back the week after, that's for sure.
Sounds good.
All right, boys. On loose lines, it's been a bit of fun. At least we can get them out now on time, Tobes. It's an amazing this 4:30 time slot. But I've appreciated it. Merry Christmas to both of you, and Merry Christmas to everyone else that's been watching. And we will be back, as I said, if not next week, we'll be back early in the new year and go from there. We might have to rejig our time slots because unfortunately there's a bit coming up on a Sunday, but we will work it out and go from there. Toby, you still can't see your hands anyway, mate. Don't you worry about that gold, man. It's all.
Keep steering the ship, Captain.
Don't worry, you can't see Daniel, but Sam from Blacktown's photo, it is well and truly up. Don't you worry, the joys of being the producer. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Merry Christmas.